Hello, good evening, or wherever you are in the world, because I see that some people are watching from Peru in Lima. That's crazy. Lima in Peru, actually, with a picture of Hernan Cataneo. Isn't that Hernan? How nice. So tonight, or today, actually, we have Eelke Kleijn coming on the show, which I'm really excited about because I haven't seen him for a long time and recently walked into him and we're like, hey, how have you been? And he saw my show. He said, oh, I really would love to be on the show. So here we are. As usual, we do a first half hour of me showing you something. I usually show Ableton since I'm an Ableton certified trainer, and actually Eelke is not in Ableton, but he does do some stuff with Ableton, so it's really curious, really nice to see what he does. And nice that you're all online. There are so many people here. Max Lightweight, welcome back. Oh, that's Miguel Ferraro, also cool. Tapski's online. I've got lots of people that tune in every week. We had like great guests like Joko and Josh Butler and Luna Ludmilla and Odette last week. And this week it's Eelke Kleijn. We already have like, must be around 150 or 160 people checking us out. This is nice. We're going to go through a project with Eelke. He's going to show us how he works in Cubase. He's got an amazing studio. He has a really cool extra camera set up so we can see how he works. And he's got a lot to tell. The man is a wizard. So we can hear everything about him, how he works, about his new release coming up, and what he has been doing during Corona. So it's a whole thing. Actually, lots of people are now starting to gig again, and I'm not sure how I feel about this, if it's the right thing or it's nice, the world's opening up, but are we ready yet? A lot of spikes happening and countries closing down again, so it's a bit heavy. Anyway, don't want to make it too serious. We got Canada here. Nice. Daniel, welcome. Argentina. Wow. Bahrain. This is crazy. So that's a lot. Myanmar. I think it's the widest audience I've had. I hope you're all good and that you're looking forward to see Eelke here on the show. From Bavaria. Actually, Bavaria is also a beer, Martin. That's interesting. Martin Fischer from Bavaria, which is cool. Nice. So give me a half hour and we'll dive into Eelke's his workflow. Fantasia Deep's here. She's here all the time, every week. So for the ones that don't know me, I'm Camiel Daamen. I have a school called Lessons in Life where I do online beginners and advanced courses. And every week I do streams with artists from around the world, varying in styles as well, from house to progressive to melodic, whatever, as long as it's electronic music. And I've been doing this for a few weeks, and it's always nice to get some more insights and to learn from each other. So therefore I started this Dive in Life stream, which is every week. So feel free to join every week. If you're an Ableton person, I have preset packs and devices on gumroad.com/lessonsinlife, and you'll find a lot of stuff there as well. Cancun, Mexico is here. Philadelphia is here. Welcome from Philly. Karen, how nice that you're all here. So let's dive in. This is Ableton. As you know, and Eelke actually has a really cool workflow for using Ableton as rewire in Cubase. So it's really nice to see that he's still using Ableton as well. We come a bit out of the same era because when I released my first record, I think it was 2006, he also released his first record, and he actually released it on Baroque, and I released one on Method Records, which is the sub-label of Baroque, which is funny. And then I saw his name, it's like, oh, the guy must also be Dutch. And here we are, like, I think 15 or 17 years later, whatever, 15 years later. and we're still here, so that's nice. That's very important these days. Hey, Blaze Tracks, nice you're checking this out. Morocco in the house. Hamza, thanks for checking this out. Nice. There's so many people online. Thank you for tuning in. And just hold your horses for Eelke. He'll be online. He's got some stuff prepared. We're going to go through a project of his, and he's got so much things that he can tell us about what he has been doing. Hey, my name, friend, Camille. How can I? Where's my mouse? I want to put you in the broadcast. There you go. Camiel, my friend. Hope you're good. So yeah, today I thought maybe it's nice to show you a bit. For I don't know who's working in Ableton. Would be nice. Just drop a shout out to Ableton if you want. I work in Ableton for a long time, and I thought it may be nice to show you Serum and Ableton and Wavetable today. Wavetable is an Ableton synth which is based on Wavetable synthesis, and Serum is an external synth, a VST plugin, as you say, made by Xfair Records, and also Wavetable synth. And you can make pretty cool sounds with Wavetable synthesizers, and they're like I think the latest big thing. Even though I love granular synthesis as well, there's a lot of cool stuff made. So let me show you how it works. There's more people coming in. Now we have Bolivia. I think I'm talking to the whole world. It's crazy. It's like the whole world is here. Detroit, USA. I've seen. It's like Eelke's got big reach. That's so nice to hear. And I hope you all can learn something from him. You must be all producers and producerettes that actually like his sound and maybe like to just see him, or also like to work similar as him. He makes also a lot of music for games and whatnot. So yeah, let's see what's coming up. It's really cool. Happy to have him here. So yeah, Wavetable synthesis. If you're familiar with it, it's super cool. I use the Wavetable synth from Ableton a lot. It's nice. It's a really cool. Italy's here as well. Why not, Farida? So yeah, I use the Wavetable a lot. Actually, when it doesn't start like this, when I double click it, it starts like this, because I've set it like this. You can right click and say like set as default preset, because I didn't like the standard ones. I just have an extra one here. I like the retro wavetables. Here you can choose what kind of wavetables you want, and then they have like all sub folders in there, which is really cool. And actually you have so much options in wavetable synthesis, because if you go to Serum, it's not just like your regular subtractive synthesizer, that it has like a sine wave, a square wave, a saw wave, etc. No, it has like, here, look at these guys. So there's so much to choose from. Thus, you can make so many different kinds of sounds. And yeah, if you're a bit into sound design, it's a lot of fun to play around with these kinds of devices. They have options to really have everything moving while you're making patches, which is great. And I'm really curious if Eelke also uses wavetable synthesizers. He has a lot of hardware, so maybe he's just a hardware guy. I don't know. I'm really eager to find out. Hey, Jean-Michel. Welcome to the show. We got Paris in the house. Argentina is here. Great. So many people from Argentina. Welcome, Nair. So it's nice you're all here. Let me show you Wavetable. So Wavetable is a wavetable synthesizer. Therefore, it's called Wavetable. You can load your own wavetables by dropping them in. And basically what a wavetable is, it's like a table of waves. So it's not that you can just use one let's say knob to change from sine wave to square wave to whatnot. You can just have one button, which is this one, is the wavetable position, to go through them. So if I play something, it actually starts morphing, and you can choose all different kinds of wavetables. And the cool thing, you can have this move. So basically a wavetable is maybe it has the filter, here's the filter section. It has an envelope. So it's actually the same as a subtractive synthesizer, only it has a wavetable filled with waves where you can scroll through while playing a note. And that is awesome. It has like a sub oscillator as well, so you can actually layer some more low end under it. And that's really cool. So you can really build a layer. So the sub oscillator is really like the low end, then your oscillator 1 and oscillator 2, you can make more low and mid, and just build up stacks of frequencies, which create super thick sounds. Now we got New York in the house, another Argentina, Florida. Welcome, y'all. Great, you're coming to hang out here. It's awesome that there's so many people coming for Eelke here. So that's super nice. So yeah, I have this sound. Let's put it back to echoes. I really like echoes. Really nice. So basically the Wavetable doesn't sound so nice if you have the unison on none. Sounds a bit mono, but when you put it like on shimmer, the unison means that it adds more voices left and right and detunes them in all sorts of different ways. I believe that you have position spread actually makes the wavetable position jump as well, which you can create all kinds of random stuff with things like these. So really nice nice sound. You have two filters. You can make one a low cut, one a high cut if you want. So that's basically like every synthesizer has. But then the cool thing is, then the envelope, make it really short or long, you know, like an envelope. You can control the volume over time, so you can make it go really short or really long, which is really cool. And then there's the matrix, and the matrix is where all the cool stuff happens. You can assign the amplitude envelope also to the position of the oscillator or to the pitch, and you can create envelope 2. You have more envelopes. You can also use the matrix to have envelope 2 be controlling the pitch over time. So when you press a note, you have an attack, decay, sustain over the pitch. So that's really cool. I'm sorry, Claudia, this is like a really boring part of the show. There's no Eelke and there's no music, but I'll make you some music if you want. So I'll put a, let's see, an ARP for you. Let me play you something positive here. Let's see, a probability ARP, really nice for in this show. So if I play a note now, it starts to be music. You can invert it. Nice. It's nice. And now I'm playing actually the patch that I have. And the cool thing now, I can show you if I jump through the oscillator position, it will just change. I really like it up here. That's really nice, you know. And to make it a bit nicer, I have something going here to the reverb. You know, I have my synths set up like this, that I have delays and reverbs. Delays in different, let me select them all for you and make them a bit bigger. And you know, you can see that I have different delays in different beat division, different timings, and I have a crazy chain which has a beat repeat, and I can send some stuff there so we can have more delay. Then you get the delay. So I have all these things here. Hey Kevin, welcome online, man. Nice to hear from you. 20 years ago, or maybe even longer, we used to have a Dutch rap group. I was 15. It's like 22 years ago, actually. Oh, no, 13. 23 years ago. I was like 15. That's crazy. Just became 38, so I forgot. Anyway, so nice you're here, Kevin. Great you're tuning in. So here's my sound. Now, to make it a bit more interesting, why not send this filter to the LFO? So LFO 1, we make it a bit slower. I have to hurry up because otherwise Claudia doesn't like it that I don't have music. So LFO 1, we send it to the filter, this guy. The name of the software is Ableton. Asking from Peru. Wow, what a worldwide show this is becoming. Check out the previous ones also at youtube.com/lessonsinlife, and feel free to subscribe to my Lessons in Life channel on YouTube. You know, any follower counts. It's really nice. So now I put the LFO on the filter, and it should actually, we can put it minus. But it's, you see, it doesn't work. It doesn't go all the way down. Why not? Because it's re-triggering, and it's re-trigger with every note it gets. It will start over again, also the LFO. So it actually never does so much. But if I turn this off and I play a note. Ooh, that's nice. And now it's gone. And it will slowly, come back. I don't know anything. It's all happening by the LFO, which is great. And I can also make this go really fast. So this is really cool to play with sounds like this. Just use an ARP, and this is the probability ARP from Ableton. It's free. If you get Ableton Suite, you can download it. It's called the Probability Pack, and it's super cool because I can also say, all right, I want this ARP. Let me make the LFO a bit less dramatic, actually. So also let me make this down. Nice, like this. So with the probability, you can also say, okay, so I want to have it, sometimes I want to have a higher octave, you know. We can maybe use the inversion 3 and have a higher octave and then open this. So now, sometimes it will jump up. Also here I have oscillator 2, which I haven't used yet, so I can jump to oscillator 2 and say, all right, maybe not use the sine wave, but so it would be also cool that this will be going up and down as well. So, you know, basically what I've said, I've did one, can't remember, is it like 2 weeks or when it was, but I showed 2 weeks ago with D&B Audio. I did one session on movement, and the more movement you have in your synths and your sounds, the more engaging the audience will be to your music, because it's constantly moving. You know, stuff is not very static, and that's very important. Here Adonis says Wavetable #1, my favorite also for bass. Yes, you can also get really cool bass sounds from the Wavetable. And yes, William, a true legend. Eelke Kleijn also here, a true legend. He is, and he'll be here in 15 minutes or so. So that's cool. And yeah, Stefan, thanks for tuning in. Nice to have so many people online tuning in here. So yeah, we have the LFO, and now I can also, if I click on this Wavetable position, I can go to the matrix, and you see that it says oscillator position 2. If I click on resonant, it changes into resonant. So the last thing you click, you can change. So I can also set an LFO to this this one. So now if I play, this also jumps up, but it's a bit fast. So I take the re-trigger off and I make it really slow again. And you'll see this rising. Should be rising. Maybe I don't want it to go like up and then straight down. So you can also use here the shape, you make it a bit heavier. That's cool. It's nice. Cool sound. Is it? Yeah. If the sound's a bit too loud, let me know. Let's see. Yeah. Let me put this guy a bit down. Nice. So this is cool. We can we have a major chord now. You can also select the chords here in the probability ARP. Make it minor if you want. You get so many nice nice options. So yeah, there's so much stuff to tell about Wavetable synthesis, but this is one version. There's so many more sounds that you have. If I start to like, let me get a new one. Instruments, get a Wavetable. So now we're back to square one, and there's so many. You just need to like find nice ones that you like, and I really like the vintage ones as well, like the ones, or the Jupiter. Ooh, maybe make this a bit. It's nice. Turn on a low cut as well. It's really nice, and there's so many classic shimmer. There's so many cool ones. So many cool ones. So now if we'd say, all right, let's go to Serum. I can show you. It's like sort of the similar style of synthesizer. It has a sub oscillator, which is for the low end. So if you play in notes. Ooh. Let's take these guys down. So this is the low end, the sub. And you can make it down an octave as well. Ooh, It's very subby. I don't know if you're wearing headphones. Then you can hear it. Hey Arthur, welcome online. So here we have a lot of sub, and then I can add in this guy, and it's not so much fun without some effects. So let me add some reverb, and you already see that there's oscillator A and oscillator B, just like with Wavetable from Ableton, and there's a filter. Filter has a bit more options though. It has a lot of filters, even flanging filters. I haven't even tried them all, of course, because there's so much. But there's a lot of cool stuff that you can find in here. The filter can be routed through all of those. So. And again, the same thing. You know, if I now go find some cool waves, you know, here you have a wavetable position here, and I can just change the wave, the similar one to hi Alessandro Diga, maybe a bit more cowbell. We always need a bit more cowbell, but yeah, not today actually. I did try it in one of my streams. I did the 12-hour stream with making music. You saw the whole flow. Somebody said a bit more cowbell, so I added more cowbell. I think it was maybe Johannes that actually asked for more cowbell. Good shout. All right, so here we go. I have way more. Let's try some I don't know, this one, and add it in. So you always have a level, and you always have like the wavetable position. And now if you want to make a bit more of a here's the amplitude envelope. So with attack, decay, sustain, release, I like to use it more visually. That is nice. So maybe we want to have this move. Again, I can take an LFO, drag it here on the filter, and there you go. Now I can actually say, all right, let's close it first now. So now it's going really fast. So you have the rate here. So this is really cool. The same thing as I did on the wavetable is that it actually moves the filter now. But you can also move the wavetable position with the second one, you know. Have this one move. And this one you can also not put it at the BPM, then it's more a looks like a pedal wah. Yeah, it is sort of a pedal wah. Wow, wow, wow. But pedal, you know, with wah-wah delays, it's also like modulating the filter basically. So there's what the wah-wah comes from basically, and it's really cool. You can really create insane sounds with this. You also have a noise oscillator, which adds noise on top. It's just a very versatile synth, just like Wavetable, but then it's a different interface. It might have a few more options inside, but yeah, you have to dig really deep into it in order to know them all. But it's such a nice thing to do. You can add effects here as well, like I have them in Ableton. You also have the effects inside Serum, so you can use these guys. Phaser, flanger, use some reverb. It's really cool. So there's a lot of stuff to learn about. They also have a sort of a matrix, which is the same actually as Wavetable thought of it. You can tell the destination of the LFO and how much it needs to control, how fast it goes. You can change the curve to how it will be affected. So that's really cool. So the more you actually start to assign stuff, you can left and right, you know. Now the envelope 3 is controlling left and right over time, which is cool. You can also do let's say LFO 2 on this unison, you're not in unison, but on the wavetable position here. This one is also moving there, which is cool. You can have lots of different things moving. If you go back to the matrix, you see them all appear here. So that's really cool. Also, the unison is the same as in Wavetable. The shimmer that I had, you can make it super wide, And this way you can create really big sounds, and like Serum is really used by a lot of people these days because of this big unison effect. And if you detune them slightly, you can get even wider sounds. By detuning to oscillators, you really get nice effects, which is actually a nice bridge to Eelke, because his new album is oscillating. So that's really nice. Yeah, let's see. Let's dive into him in a bit, because he's gonna show us his workflow, how he uses his hardware. There's a project he works in Cubase, so he makes all his stuff in there, which is nice. You know, there's no best DAW, but everybody needs to find something that works for you. And apparently he still uses Ableton, but then as a rewire. So yeah, it's super cool to have this. Let's see. All the other streams I've been watching, my favorite, have been in different DAWs. Nice. Good to hear, DJ Gaines. You're free to just join every week. I have different artists every week, and sometimes it's mostly it's Ableton, but sometimes it's another DAW. I've got Navarre coming soon as well. He's got Fruity Loops, I believe he makes music in. So it's cool to have different people with different DAWs. We've got Jesse. Very nice you're here. My friend from Burning Man. And yes, it's time to check with my friend Eelke to see if he's online. So in the meantime, I would love to play you some music, but I haven't had the music in videos. But Eelke will definitely play us some music, so stay tuned. In the meantime, I'll just show you a nice video to shamelessly promote myself for a bit. Hey friends, it's Camiel Daamen, your online Ableton certified trainer. In less than 2 weeks, my beginner's course will start. I've got 4 spots available from the 8 that I had. So make sure to subscribe below for an intake. If the course suits you, you'll be in for the magical musical journey of your life. Within 8 weeks, I'm going to teach you how to make your own tracks. So subscribe, get in touch. See you soon. Yeah, so sorry about that. That needed to happen. So Eelke is online. I'm going to get him into the show. Here we go. There he is.
Hey.
Hey. So everybody should be able to hear you now.
Yeah.
So nice to have you here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. It was a spontaneous action from when we saw each other. So it was great to do it, to execute that idea immediately. Yeah. So happy to have you on here. So we've checked everything beforehand. We're good to go. Have you seen the first half hour with the Wavetable?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Do you use
from Xfer? I use quite a bit of stuff from Xfer as well. The LFO tool, especially.
Yeah. It's nice. Yeah. People are really enthusiastic about it. Mostly. Yeah. Mm. Nice. So you do work with software and hardware together, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So it's really, I think the magic happens between using both worlds. There's no analog is better than digital, so it's just a combination, I guess.
Yeah, and some tracks, I have a lot of hardware, and there's tracks where I end up using almost only hardware, and then other tracks at the end I'm bouncing things, and I realize I've only used like Omnisphere and Contact on it, so it just whatever works for the track, I guess.
Yeah, these are great sounding synths. So Omnisphere is really great. My roommate uses it a lot. I used to use it a long time ago, but then it was a crack. So so I don't use it anymore. You've got fans from all over the world. I've never felt like more watched than ever. It's like all over, like from Peru and the whole American side to Morocco, Bahrain. So you're well how do you call it? You've got a great reach. So that's nice.
Very international today.
Yeah. So what's happening with you? I obviously know a bit what you've been busy with, but maybe you want to share what you've been up to and what you're going to be up to.
Yeah. So the past 4 or 5 months, we've, like everyone else, I've been at home, and fortunately, I had already started working on a new album. So back in February, March, I was sort of halfway done with that. And then when all the gigs sort of got canceled, I was like, okay, that's, it sucks, but at least I can continue full force on the album, And I had thought to work on it April, May-ish, so I had kept those periods quite empty in terms of gigs.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden I had like 4 or 5, months to finish it, more time than I ever wanted to. So
yeah.
So I basically just finished that maybe 2 weeks ago or so. Just started playing out again last week for a crowd here in Amsterdam in the Marktkantine, which was, at 10% of their usual capacity and everything, like phased out with tables. But it sure was really nice just to be out in front of a crowd again and play some music,
Yeah, so at least have a feel for a vibe. Yeah.
And that's it, really. I've just been making music and staying at home mostly.
Well, you're brave. That's what we all should do, actually. And is this going to be then the best album ever, since you've spent the most time on it? I
hope so. For me personally, it's another step again, and it's new music, and there's definitely a difference between this one and the last album and the one before that, but at the same time it does, if I listen to all the tracks, it feels like me, and so I'll just have the people decide, I guess. I'm really happy with it. Like there's a lot of good tunes on it that I play and that I'm really happy with. So we'll see what everyone says.
Mostly what I discussed a lot with Duncan as well, like the most of the music that comes, if you're gigging a lot, it's hard to get down and in a chilled vibe and then make the music that really comes out of you. And so having more time, would you think that it changed how you made music? Did it change your, you had so much time at hand, so you're like,
Well, for a very long time, I didn't make any music on the road. So when I was, traveling for 2 weeks, I wouldn't do anything. And about a year and a half ago, I switched that. So I started working from a laptop.
Yeah.
Also in the studio, and it would be the same laptop I would travel with, and then do small sketches when I'm traveling. Yeah. And then when I got back home, I would finish those and maybe do some adjustments and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've always found it difficult when you're on a busy tour or something to really get down and write music. It's two different things for me, and I don't necessarily get inspired from traveling and playing music. I really need to sit down and get the hours in to make something good. So it definitely helped having this much time at home available.
Yeah, so that's what a lot of people actually had. Some people even didn't feel like making dance music, just like, okay, I want to make some more ambient stuff now,
Yeah. So I can imagine. For me, it was because I'm always used to like calming down at home and then writing music. I was perfectly happy writing dance music as well, but I can definitely see how you're not in the right vibe for that or something.
Exactly, because the whole world's like, then So at least you finish your album. When is the release? Jean-Michel asks.
September 25th.
September 25th.
Yeah, so the end of
Put
September.
Put in the agenda, people.
We've got, so the third single was called Woodstock, and that was released 2 or 3 weeks ago. And there's one more single coming up in August, I suppose. Yeah, probably the end of August. And then the album drops 1 month later. Yeah.
Nice. So then it's ready for and then how many tracks do you get on the album?
It's 11 this time.
11. Nice.
Yeah. Last one was 12. I was aiming for that at the start as well, but I'd rather take something off that I'm not 100% certain of than include it and feel like it wasn't the best it could have been, I'm always less is more for me nowadays.
Yeah, and it's hard to choose also. If you make so much music, then at some point you're like, this one or this one and this one. And I remember from Nora Q, he had his album release I think in the beginning of the Corona period, and I remember he had so much tracks to choose from, and then I couldn't even think anymore like what for me you can put that one on also. There were so many good tracks, but he really it's really hard to decide for yourself, I guess. Like
it's a couple of tracks that I was working on, and I usually work on everything at the same time, and then I progress one, and then I go to the other one,
Yeah.
and then that progresses a little bit.
Yeah.
And there were a few that I really thought would go onto the album at the end, and just after weeks, you know, I wasn't happy with the vibe, or someone else said like, oh, I don't know if it's good enough, and then, you know, some of the stuff you've been spending weeks on just doesn't make it onto the album. But you got to be picky.
Yeah, nice. I'm really curious. Is there the project that you're gonna show us? Is that that's from the album? That's the Woodstock one. From yeah, right.
That's right.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, nice. I think people would love to see that. Let's see if there's any questions. Blaze Tracks used to be with you backstage one day. I met you backstage one day in Den Bosch. Hope these parties will be possible again in the future. Yeah, I hope so too.
I hope so.
I'm gonna be there. So many people here. That's you know, but no questions yet, so that's cool. Let's just jump into the project and see what the album looks like.
Yeah, for sure. Let me. I think I need to share.
Oh yeah,
my
share the screen. Yeah. Always an exciting moment.
Yeah, sure. Computer sound. Okay, should be.
There we go. Boom. There it is. This is a premiere. It's the first time a Cubase screen is on the Dive in Live show, which is nice.
And let's quickly test audio. Is this?
Yeah, I can hear it. I think the people should hear it as well. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear the music.
Yep. Excellent. Always good when everything works.
Yeah, that's nice. Makes it a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So this you use also color coding, I think, right? The yellow.
Yes, I started doing that a few years ago.
Yeah.
And so you'll see, like, this is all drums. All my drums are yellow-ish, or this is all drums in audio, I have to say. All my MIDI drums are further down.
Yeah.
And then like blue is things like main pads and main melodies and synths. And then further down the line, this is all effects, so crashes and whooshes and all that.
Yeah.
So this top bit is all audio files, and then the further you go down, the more MIDI it becomes. So this is all my MIDI drums, all my Omnisphere, and this is all Contact. And so color coding really helps me sort of keep track. Normally before I dive into a project, I clean it up. But I thought I would just leave it as it is, so you can actually see how it looks like when I'm working on it. You know, a little bit more chaotic, probably.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice. Actually, I really like the Cubase interface. It's different from when I used it.
It's really nice, and I'm happy because you're only seeing my one screen, but the other one has the like the full mixer on it.
There you go.
So this is always on the other screen, and it's just a really a joy to work like this, you know, with one big mixer on one screen and then all your other stuff on the other screen.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's great to have two monitors there, you know. It's great. They recently added that to Ableton as well, so you can have your session and your arrangement view next to each other.
They did. I know it didn't work before. Yeah. And what I would do is just drag the thing over the whole length of the two screens. But I don't know if that works. Some apps it works, and others it doesn't. Yeah, that
you can actually have it extra long then or so. Yeah, but now you can actually split. You can so maybe by the end of this chat, I convert you back to. No.
I'm still on Ableton 9, so.
We need to fix that for you.
Old school, yeah.
Well, you know, we talked briefly this afternoon, of course, and you said you still use it in Rewire, right? Which I always say to people: if you're still in Logic, you can use Ableton as Rewire. Or people that are in Reason, you can still use it as Rewire in your new DAW, you know? Because Reason is also cool. Have you ever used Reason?
I did, in the very, very early days. So we're talking when I was 16, I think, 17?
Yeah.
Which is 21 years ago, you know?
Yeah,
so when Reason 1.0, I don't think I even went to 2.0. It was just the very first version.
Yeah, me too. With the mixer that only had low and high. You know, the mixer didn't have any mid rates. It's very funny. I used it as well. Yeah, Nora Q also was a big fan.
I did some full length tracks on that, like some of the earliest stuff I did in Reason. And then, so when I was 17, 18, I was working in this music store in Rotterdam where I live.
Yeah.
The reason I am on Cubase now is because they they recorded, they sold keyboards and synthesizers, and everyone there was demoing Cubase. That was sort of their way of recording MIDI and playing it back, you know. And so I had to, when I was selling something, I had to demo Cubase as well. So I had to learn it, which was Cubase's, I think it was Cubase VST 3.5, like a very old version.
Yeah, very classic.
But that was like my intro, and I just never stopped using it, you know.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good program. I've seen a friend of mine, Hakan from Turkey. He really goes. He makes very cinematic stuff as well on it. And I think if you're making movie scores and that sort of stuff, it's really nice to have a real tracker kind of.
It's incredible. Have you ever seen those videos of Tom Holkenborg, Junkie XL?
Yeah.
Diving into his Cubase setup. It's amazing.
And it's like
hundreds of tracks.
Yeah. And he's got this touch screen, right? This sort of. He's wow. Yeah. You must be in contact with him a lot. You know, he can. Not
that much. Like I do know him from a few years back, but he's so busy in LA, you know, in Hollywood. And I do work on some movie stuff, but it's mostly trailers for me and songs that get placed into a series, for instance. And that's another sort of scene from the movie, the music that they write for movies. You
guys would be a good combination as well, I think, you know.
Oh yeah.
But nice, yeah. So that's also, and this is the project 115.
They always get They always get weird names. Nowadays, I just like to refer to numbers, but a lot of my tracks, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Just name them something, and then in the end, they get their name. You know?
I've lost a lot that way as well. That I made it and I called it something, and I called it something different later on when I rendered it, and then at some point I found this MP3 or this track of Wave. I was like, oh, this is a nice track, and I tried to find the project, and I was like, oh wait, I changed the name of this one. No, what was it? And I couldn't find it. I have to go to all these sketches that you've made and all these things, you know.
My trick for that is at the end of one day work, I will export everything to audio, like one bounce, and that will be in the main folder. So there's no track that doesn't have an export, so I can just go through all those exports and listen to them, and then I know which project they belong to. Because I had the same problem before.
Just make sure, and you can see the time as well when it was made. You know. Actually, Ali says here that Live 9 is good. I use the same version. It's much better, he says.
Well, that's good to know.
Ja. En Ronald Meijner says, lekker man, afgelopen zaterdag in de Marktkantine. Which means, great dude, last Saturday in Marktkantine. Great, yeah.
For me as well, thank you.
Yeah, so your bio actually says that you always perform on without shoes, right?
Yes, most of the times. There was a time where I would play every single gig without shoes. Nowadays it's kind of 50-50 because I've stepped in glass a few too many times. And you really don't like that. So I don't really do it at all places anymore. They need to have like a nice comfy carpet or something. And not because if it's concrete and people start getting a little bit drunk and dropping their glasses, it's like, no, you don't want that.
I was already figuring like how do you do this? Do you have like very hard feet that are
no,
like,
it hurts.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, nice, but it does ground you in a way, you know. So all right,
and because I'm quite tall, so it takes off like an inch and a half or so, which is nice, you know.
Which is nice, makes you a bit I could
more
use
down
an
to
inch.
earth.
Literally. Okay, so let me remove this Eelke Kleijn thing so we can just see the whole screen. There you go.
Yeah.
So there you go. This is I also use color. You always use the same colors for your sounds?
Yes, within Cubase I do, and for instance within my live show, which is based off of Pioneer samplers, the DJS 1000.
I saw it.
I also use color coding, and I try to keep it as much the same as possible. So for instance, bass lines are usually green now for me, and they will be green in the arrangement, and they will also be green when I'm playing a live show or something to keep it clear, you know.
I do exactly the same. Yeah, funny. Yeah, Nice. Yeah, I saw it. So people can watch that back, right? The how I play video.
I recorded that with DJ Tech Tools, and it's just like a quick 10-minute dive into my live set setup and the stuff I use and how it's sort of laid out.
Yeah, looked awesome. I saw it this weekend. I checked it out. It was great.
Nice. Yeah.
Really, I was quite happy with that. Really unique setup as well.
You don't see a lot of two DJS 1000s.
No, definitely not. No, but I really liked the structure in the live set as well. Like how you keep it simple. You have actually all the stems that you can mute or unmute on the samplers itself. It's a really smart setup. For
the main reason for doing it like that and not going all Ableton and laptop is I've tried, but I was never able to improvise my live set in Ableton. Whenever I had a live show, I would sort of map it out in Ableton so you know what you're going to play.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't good in going to the top or the bottom of the arrangement and just selecting things to add or so. I just couldn't improvise like that. And that's the reason I was looking for something else, you know?
Yeah, you need to find a way that works for you. And I think that's what I try to teach also in my lessons with the advanced groups. Like, you know, you have to start somewhere and then try your controllers. What do you have? What do you want to control? Really, like, write it down. You know, did you actually make a plan before? Okay, I want to control this and this and this. I want to have buttons for this and this and that, and then you can see.
Yeah, because it's so easy to overdo it. You know, if you want to have control over everything, you only have two hands. You know, there's no more than two things you can control at the same time. Sort of. Maybe if you do something with your feet, you can add a third thing, but it's almost impossible to try and control everything. You know. So,
Yeah, that's it's nice to have a setup that works, but you first of all have a setup that doesn't work or that works, and you're like, nah, I don't know, I need to upgrade this, and then you get another one, and you're like, this is it, and then you start mapping it, and you're like, I'm on the right track, and when it plays, it flows, you know. Yeah. So are there also, you gonna perform the album also live?
That is the plan. Yes. I did so with the last album and this one as well. It's just a matter of waiting for, when we can start touring again, I guess.
Yeah. It's just so as soon as there is a vaccine or as soon as something else happens. Gonna be 2000.
So right now it's all a bit insecure, but I'm just making music and I'm good, So
yeah, that's nice. Well, we can't wait to hear it. So let's play a bit from this stuff.
Yeah. So I don't think you didn't play the track yet, right?
No,
so
I didn't play anything yet. No.
I'll start by playing just like a 1 minute or so.
Yeah, cool. Let's have a listen to it.
So I'm just gonna stop it there quickly.
Yeah, nice.
So this track was, well, you can hear it probably, but it was based around this melody, which I can play for you. And the fun thing was, I came up with that sort of chord progression, so this one and the bass line and all that on a flight. I don't know which one, but I'm always, especially on those day flights to the US, you're sort of waiting for 8-10 hours, and I like to sketch out some things. So I came up with that melody and that chord progression, and but the first version was sounding quite different. Usually those sketches they get changed completely, but in this one, what I really liked was the main thing. If you play it together with the bass line down here, was the bass together with the melody was sort of what did it for me.
Yeah, nice.
And sometimes you have progressions that they sort of give you when they give me goosebumps, that's when I know I'm doing something right.
So you were sitting there on this airport like, ooh, or did you didn't have the bass yet?
If I get goosebumps on the flight from a melody, I know I'm on the right track,
Nice.
That was sort of the basis for this track. And then not too long after that, I got the Moog 1 synthesizer, and this was just a track I was working on when I got that one, and so I started doing a lot of the sounds for this track on the Moog 1.
Yeah.
And so this main melody was done there. The pads, which are here, I'll play those for you solo as well. Those were done on the Moog 1 as well, and it was sort of my my Moog 1 experiment. I'd like to say this track.
You could call it Moog 1 instead of Woodstock.
Yeah.
An ode to the Moog 1. Yeah, it's nice to have a new synth and just jam on it, right? Because you have quite a few laying there, of course.
I can, if you want, I'll show you quickly, because I'm able to.
I can make you bigger.
I've got the other camera.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah, because I also see a lot of cool stuff in the back. Do you actually use the modular you have for hi-hats? Somebody asks.
Sometimes. Here's the screen thing. Sometimes I do, yeah. Not so much for creating hi-hats from scratch, but for running hi-hats through them and then changing it,
Yeah.
So I also do stuff like I'll send a snare in, and I'll use the grain delay to sort of pitch it up a lot or pitch it down a lot, and all of a sudden it turns into a weird hi-hat or something.
Yeah, cool.
But I don't really use it for sort of the typical analog drum sound. It's more processing of drum sounds. I'd say.
Yeah, cool. Just you send out audio through it and have yeah, cool.
I'm finally able to share my video, I think. Yeah, here we go.
There you go. Wow. I wish I could make it. Can I make it a bit bigger? Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can. Like this. Boom. There you go.
Yeah, I'll give you I'll give you a short tour if you want.
Yeah, that would be great.
So we've got like all the synths on this side, most of them at least. And to be fair, I don't use all of them all the time. I usually just turn one on if I want to use the sound from it,
Yeah.
And I would say that the one from this that I use the most is probably the Mofo. So the one over here.
Yeah.
That's the Dave Smith one.
Four voices, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's also the one I use for my live show, and it gives a really nice very sort of analog tone. It has sort of like a feedback circuitry, so you can feed the output back into the input, and it starts to sound really harsh and dirty, sort of.
That's cool. That will definitely come through any mix, that if you.
Yes. Yeah. That was, for instance, in one of my tracks, The Calling. I used that for the bass line, and exactly that trick, like feeding the output back into the input and making it go all crazy. So we have most of the synths over there. My modular setup over here, which it has audio input and output, and all the synths are sort of down here. So I have my oscillators, my LFOs, down here is all sort of sequencers and then like filters, envelopes.
Yeah.
And the top bit is all effects mostly. And the top row is connected to ADAT in-out. So I have 4 stereo in, 4 stereo out over here.
Wow.
And the nice thing is, so I could have like 1 or 2 melodies come from this part. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, I could still process 4 stereo tracks through all the effects.
Yeah.
And that's become a major part of my workflow, so to say. So most of my hi-hats, they go through the modular at one point or the other. Most of my drums, actually.
Yeah. How cool. And you have any other analog processing, because you have a lot of 19 inch?
Yeah, you can't see it on this side, I think, but there's a Serum filter bank over here.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if you can see it. It's empty right now. No, you can't. I have an analog stereo delay, a Dynacord SRS 56.
How cool.
Which I use a lot, but it's out for repairs because it's like 40 years old and it just has issues often. So yeah, that one. Yeah. And then I don't think you can see them either. No, like all the Strymon pedals on top.
I saw them in the other view. I saw, because I was recently making music in Nachtlab with a friend of mine. We had one of these Strymons, the reverb, and we took this through it, and it sounded amazing. And when I called with you the afternoon, I was like, wow, you've got them all.
yeah, they're some of my favorite. And originally they're sort of guitar pedals, or Strymon is a guitar company, but they've got stereo in, stereo out, and so it's amazing for synth, you know. And,
very nice verbs and stuff. And do you use them a lot to just create space? Do you use them like as sense or so with Cubase, or do you always record the results?
I record everything to audio, so they are set up in one of the output channels of my sound card. Yeah. And they're set up as one chain. So I go into the Mobius first, then into the Time Live, and then into the Big Sky. Yeah. And then it comes back into the computer. And the ones I'm not using, I will bypass at that moment. And but I'm always recording them all 3 together, you know?
Yeah. Interesting. Very cool. So
I've got into the habit of recording almost everything to audio. So even if I use maybe a nice like hi-hat loop from a soft synth or something, once I'm happy with it, I will bounce it to audio, and then I start to process further with effects or maybe something external.
Yeah. That's, I think, the best way, and it's also safe to bounce everything to audio. You know, that's really a safe way to do it.
Yeah, it saves your processor a little bit as well, your CPU.
Yeah,
and I've just it's just a habit of mine that and Cubase is great with audio as well, so that's one of the reasons too.
Yeah, there's this library, right, that saves everything into your project immediately. I think it makes already the collect on save from Ableton is already done, I think, always in
you whenever you import something into the project, it will ask if you want to copy it, and so usually your audio folder has everything from the project in it.
Yeah. I think we just lost your camera.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Let me. I'll switch it to the other one.
It went to black. Maybe it's the battery died on it.
No, it should be on power, but I think you are right. Yeah, the camera is out. Yeah. That was the GoPro.
That always happens with me halfway through my stream as well. So let me just jump you back to also the screen. There we go. Nice. And the synths you have on the left, are there particular? So the Movo is one of your favorites. Which ones do you have more? Are there any other ones?
It's Roland TR8. I've got the Stylophone Generate, which was released half a year ago in a sort of very limited batch.
Yeah.
Novation Base Station 2.
Ooh, I have that one. Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, mine as well.
Prophet Rev 2.
Yeah.
Which to be honest, I don't use too much. And I might end up. I used it until I got the Moog 1, and then I sort of, I don't really need it anymore.
Yeah.
And then further down, it's a JP 8000 Roland XP30
Oh, it's the old school synth, the old school trance buck.
Yes.
Yeah, the JP. That's the 8080. One of my friends, when I did SAE, which is also like 18 or 19 years ago, my friend Wesley, he had a Roland JP 8080, right? The big trance unit.
Yeah. That's the rack version, and this is the keyboard version. Is the 8000.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Super nice. You have all these things. You should never. Yeah.
And then like my oldest stuff is on the other side over. Oh, now you see the Strymon pedals behind
exactly.
me. But down there is Moog Voyager, the
rack version as well.
Yeah, the rack version. Nord Rack 2X by Clavia.
I have the normal one, the 2X.
That was actually one of my most used synthesizers before I got some of the other stuff. It's on all my older records.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds so beautiful. It has this sort of like gentle, friendly character.
Yeah, it sounds very, for a digital synth. It sounds kind of. It can sound quite analog. I've always thought.
I think it's the filter because it's sampled still. It's all like these chips. It's chips based music. Yeah. So, but still sounds very analog. And I don't know what it is, but it is. And the interface, same as the Base Station 2. That's the two that I have, and I really like the workflow of these synths.
I'm nowadays a very much a one button per function person. So whenever it has endless menus, I just don't go into it. Whenever I bought something that had all these menus and options, I thought, I'm going to use all of that.
Yeah,
I never do.
I had it with the Ultra Nova of Novation. So after the Base Station 2, I was like, you know what, Novation is great. I'm gonna get a Ultra Nova, but it has all these folders in folders, and it's great. You can do a lot, but I forgot in which menu I was, and then tweaking the wrong buttons, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, DUI.
I found that out as well, and I prefer the sort of one button per function things. It's just more intuitive,
more hands-on. Yeah. Hey, somebody has a question. It's Johan. It's actually one of my students. It's only dry sounds you bounce to audio, or also sometimes with effects?
Oh no, with effects as well. So, for instance, are you still sharing my screen?
Yeah.
So like I'll play some of these for you. So these are the hi-hats. And so this is the dry sound that I recorded, but as you can hear, it has a bit of reverb, and I'm sorry, I'm touching my computer. Has a bit of reverb on it already, and so what I will usually do is I'll program a hi-hat in MIDI, for instance. Once I'm happy, I will either bounce that to audio, or I will just go straight to the pedals back here and run it through all of those, and then record it back in as audio. And I cut them into these, 4 or 8 bar loops, and then I keep on, duplicating those forward.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes down to hi-hats. And here I always have a mute folder, which has some of the earlier sounds, usually, like snare or clap, which were probably dry back then, and eventually they end up as a sound up here, which is the one I really want to use in the end.
Yeah, so that's nice to have this workflow. Yeah, you got to do it. It's always hard for people, if you work and with hardware and with software, you have to record it at some point. But when you record it, maybe you lose it, or it's changing. People are always a bit scared to record, and I can understand, because I've lost a lot along the way as well. So yeah.
Well, if you look at like some of the melodies that I have here, so if you go, for instance, to the main lead in the sort of in the climax. Let me play that for you quickly. Let's solo that. So you can see like all of these are different recordings, and I don't use like MIDI controllers anymore. Instead of sending the cutoff and the envelopes and all that to the synth, I just tweak it on the fly, and if I'm not happy with something, I will change it. So instead of like this one, if you listen to the original recording, wasn't happy with that for some reason, and then I do a quick rerun and I
Yeah.
record it the way I want to, you know.
Yeah,
And,
I like this version also better. You
yeah,
did it
I
well.
had to
Yeah.
because when I started working with the modular, there's no MIDI controlling nothing, you know. It's
No.
all handwork,
Yeah.
and so that became my workflow, and then I started adopting that with my other synths as well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's a really it is a good workflow just to record and overdub
Yep.
and just if something is not nice, you do it again. But I think also the way of doing it like this will create magic, because sometimes you do something where you end up tweaking it up too much, but you go like, hey, this is actually better than what I was doing before.
There's like all these like somewhere over here. I think there's somewhere where the oscillator goes down like way too much. Like up. Yeah, you get like weird. I like to tweak on the Moog 1 or on any Moog for that matter. You've got those really cool octave buttons. So I like to tweak those like really quickly sometimes.
Like
and
go from the 16,
down,
32, you know, these ones with the 4, 8, 16, like that one.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know it made such a cool sound actually, just by tweaking it really quick, you know?
Oh, yeah. Some of the, in one of my other tracks, the Hierophant, there's that lead sound comes from the Moog 1 as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like if you sort of tweak the octave just after the note hits, you get this weird jump from low to high or something.
Yeah,
it creates a really nice, unique sort of sound.
Yeah. And the Hierophant is also on the album, right? Oh yeah, sorry.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it goes wrong very often as well. So you have to record it maybe 2, 3, 4 times, but then eventually you get one that you like and you end up using that.
Yeah, nice, really cool. I think that workflow is really cool because it creates the magic. Because sometimes you can't have if you're always drawing the perfect line, you go maybe stick to like something that you know, and now you're just jamming on these sounds, almost breaking the knob on your Moog.
On this album, I was particularly inspired by things that go slightly off key, you know, but just enough that you can still enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the synths on this album have that off key element, where on the Moog you have the LFO is routed to the pitch LFO1. So if you quickly open up LFO1, the pitch will go like up and down, you know. On the Dave Smith, they have that button as well that says is it detune or something, or that sort of detunes the sound. And just by using that really quickly, you get this really nice sort of flowing into the pitch that you want, you know. And it'll go wrong a lot of times, but once you hit that sweet spot, it's really nice.
It's a cool transition. I think it's a very unique transition as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, how cool. So and the Moog is blue, or is that new?
No, it's just
the lead.
So in this case it is apparently, but for me usually all the melodies are blue. So there's I don't even know what this is. Let me check. Oh yeah. So this sound is. As you can hear, there's always a lot of stereo stuff going on in my tracks. And that is probably, let's check the, where is that? Here we go. Yeah, so that's LFO Tool that I mentioned earlier. LFO Tool does a lot of my stereo processing. So the melody without it is just straight through the middle.
Yeah.
And then I put an LFO Tool on it. And most of the times I'll set these to Hertz versions because I don't want them to go in sync with the track. Because
me too.
I don't like it if 4 bars it's on the left and then the next 4 bars it's on the right. It needs to sort of gradually move through the track.
Go in between,
yeah. And you can do some really cool stuff with this as well. Like, and then if you like it, you just you press record and you record that quickly. And a lot of my effects and whooshes are always about automating the rate of the volume or the panning or something.
Yeah. To make it to actually make it move towards like a sort of a climax or
Exactly.
I usually have them really slow, my LFOs, and have something just change a lot over time. Maybe sometimes you want to have them a bit faster, but it's nice to have them in the rates as hertz, because then it's not stuck to the beat. I think Secret Cinema, Jeroen also works like this. Jeroen Verheij, I think he also I saw an interview with him a few years ago, and he says, my LFOs are always free roaming, and I think
it's much more interesting. The only at times when I might record it sometimes, so I do a lot of panning, things go really hard right or really hard left.
Yeah.
And every now and then, for instance, when you have a riser in the climax that might be totally on that side of the spectrum, then I need that LFO to be on the other side, because I don't want everything to be on the same side. So maybe for those moments, I will sort of draw it and I will tell it to go to the left, But all other occasions, it's usually free roaming through the track.
Because at some point, if it's phasing with something else, or it's blocking another sound, then it's nice to have that control. Then you can turn it off. You automate the on/off button, and then automate it manually, or just automate manually where it should go, and then have it go back into what it's doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Any chance to look at how the bass line was made?
Yes.
Mayank asks.
So the bass line is down here. It's Omnisphere, actually.
Omnisphere. What a great synth.
So let's. This is the bass sound.
Ooh. Beautiful.
Yeah. And if I play that without effects, what I need to do, I think it's this one. Let's check. Yeah, this is the dry sound. Go into Omnisphere. You can actually I'm not one of those people that doesn't use presets, so I'm perfectly happy using presets from Omnisphere.
Yeah, Omnisphere has amazing presets.
Also, because they're amazing, and there's so many of them as well. So, and sometimes I'll completely change them, and sometimes I won't change them at all. And for this sound, I honestly don't know if I changed it. But it's not a very crazy bass line. It's sort of
it's lovely, warm, and subby, says NorQ.
Yeah. So it does the octave thing, and then every now and then it does that little jump. And I like bass lines that have that.
Yeah.
You can hear the vibrato going when it opens up.
Yeah.
And I like things like that, and especially when you program those sort of quick 16th notes.
Yeah.
You get those nice sort of jumps.
It's a really smart. I really like jumping bass lines as well. If you jump an octave and it jumps back down again, it actually creates some space to not listen only to the subby part. It just makes it more jumpy and nice.
Yeah.
And it interacts way more with the
It
mid.
spreads the frequencies over the octaves as well, because if it's all like down and subby, you're gonna need something else in that mid spectrum, It's sort of
exactly.
And this if you play this, so I'll show you what plugins are on there.
Nice, that's cool. A bit of the mixing part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I noticed you don't EQ like crazy on things.
No, not a lot.
No.
So in this, there's a guitar rig on it, but the only thing it does is delay, because I really love the Tractor 12 delay.
Yeah, they're awesome. I was really happy to see them in Guitar Rig when they appeared. I was like, nice. And also the Verb. It's really cool to have sort of like your DJ tools there as well.
Yes, and I, sometimes I'll do crazy things here with all kinds of LFOs and like weird patches, but then at other times it only does delay and reverb,
Yeah.
And then there is some EQ from the it's on the other screen, from the UAD Trident. So you can see I've pushed the high end quite a bit, like over 5 dB or so, and I've pushed the like around 250 hertz. I've pushed a bit as well, and I've taken out quite a bit of bass. Um, if you and of course, like there's always LFO tool which does my side chaining.
Oh yeah.
Um, but apart from that, I don't. This is quite unique for me. I don't push EQs that hard usually. I'm around 3 or so maybe.
Yeah.
But I guess if you play this one without it.
Yeah, I can definitely hear it.
Yeah, it makes you push through the mix a little bit more.
Yeah, way fuller, also like warm, exactly what the track, it's nice to have this, especially because it's such a sort of like emotional kind of vibe.
Yeah.
It's nice, you have this big, low warmth that we need, especially during these times.
Yeah. And it's the funny thing is it's sort of, it really hits on the kick if I play it with the kick.
Yeah. Hardly hear any side.
A lot of the notes are like right on top of the kick,
yeah.
And it has these little jumps in between. This, by the way, this is one of the only tracks where I have reverb on my bass drum.
I just wanted to ask you, like, hey, there's reverb on you, but did you filter out some low end on there? So it doesn't.
It's an alti. What's it called? Altiverb. Yes. As you can see.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is give all my drums, a lot of drums, I'll give them reverb separately. Sometimes from the Strymon pedals or from the Modular or maybe from a UAD plugin.
Yep.
But for coherency, I sometimes push the drums, all of them together through one reverb as well. And all my drums go through this channel. So this is the UAD Neve plugin.
You're a big UAD fan. Yes. Yeah, maybe nice to mention. You have like 2 UAD sound cards, right? Or running?
No, it's much worse. I have 2 Apollos, the X16 and the X8P.
Yeah.
Then I've got three Octos, 2 quads and a duo and an arrow as well. I think. Yeah.
You bought the whole company.
Yeah, I'm a huge UAD fan.
Yeah.
It's just, and to be honest, like I don't even turn the Octos on usually, only when I'm missing processing power. But with the 2 Apollos, I usually have enough, and then when it's a heavy track, I might turn them on.
Yeah, UAD is insane. I bought I think it's like 10 years ago or so. Like Lauhaus told me, hey man, you should get these plugin. So I bought a satellite card and I was like sold, But then every time you wanted more plugins, it's too much. We have a twin here, but you can use like 2 of these unpack tape ones, and then it's like it's full. So you really need to be safe with those. But it's nice. They sound the best in the game.
I'll play the drums together and then I'll take the Neve off.
Yeah.
So let me go a bit further into the track.
Somebody asked, do you use sidechain for the bassline? You use LFO tools, right? LFO tools for the bassline.
Yeah, LFO tools for the sidechaining.
Yeah, X-Fair LFO tool, which is great.
So this is the bass or the drum group. And then doesn't even do that much, I think, on this track. Like some of my tracks, you will hear a very, very clear a push as soon as that Neve comes in.
Yeah.
On this track, it's pretty reserved. Like if I take both, because the other plugin is the Trident EQ, which is also on the drums, and if I take both of those off, it's not as much as an impact on this track as some of the others. But it differs.
It does glue, or so it does glue the whole thing together. Just make it more.
Yeah, it's if I had shown you maybe another track, you might hear that really big difference that comes from the Neve. But the cool thing about it is that you can sort of really push the input here, and if you get into that sort of sweet spot of just distorting but not too noticeable, that's when it becomes really nice for me. So I will usually put everything through there, and then I start to experiment with not just the input, but also the pre-channel gain here. So if, for instance, if this is too loud, it'll distort, and then I can cut back on the gain here and make it so that I'm just sort of hearing that saturation, but not the annoying sort of clipping.
It's really interesting to have it. Make sure not to save this project when we're done.
No, I won't. It's actually a good one. I'll save it under a different name. Thank you.
I hate it. It happened to me like especially in class when I did SAE lessons, and I would give the lesson and show like mixing stuff or whatever, and then changed the whole track. It's like, oh no, and then I pressed save. Like, I said, guys, I just saved this. No.
You have to be careful.
Especially, don't want to mess up your album release.
Exactly. No, but it's all been exported and stuff, so it's all safe and good. Yeah,
cool. Are there any other? You have 5. You're gonna have 5 single releases, right? Or so? Is it 2 more coming?
4. Yeah. There's one more single coming up. Together with Nathan Nicholson, the singer from the Boxer Rebellion, and cool. We recorded a really cool track together, which is going to be. It's a little bit. It's not typical dance floor stuff. It's like 112 BPM. So it's a little bit slower, but it's still a really nice track. And that's. I'll preview it soon somewhere. It should be coming in end of August, I think.
Yeah, nice. That's great. Yeah, so and you also did a stream like this. It was a stream recorded last weekend, I believe. It was a day before my birthday, on Sunday, right? Yeah.
Yes, we did one on Sunday from Woodstock, so the club that this track was named after.
Yeah.
And I have one coming up tomorrow, actually, from the Euromast here. It's like this big tower here in Rotterdam, and it's together with Audio Obscura. We recorded a very, very cool stream there.
Nice.
2 hours, and that's going live. It was in cinemas last week, and it's going live on Facebook and YouTube tomorrow.
Great. Yeah. So people can check that out. Will it be on your page or so, or on?
It should be on my official Facebook page as well. So the one we are viewing on now is
right now. Most of the people will be on your page, I guess. Nice. So and
we're cross-posting, of course.
We're cross-pollinating everything. So the Woodstock stream was beautiful, Eelke, says Bonnie. That's great.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you have a question for Eelke on his workflow, on his, we have the project open. So if you have questions how he works, please let us know. There's
happy to show anything.
There's enough people online for questions, so that's cool.
Yeah. I'll show you one of my favorite plugins, which has a battery by Native Instruments.
Oh yes.
This is my secret weapon for basically everything like hi-hats and programmable. So here's my kick drum. You can see I used the tom from the calling, and I'll use that. And there's
never change a winning drum kit. That's what I always say.
No, they do vary with every track for me. But if I have a tom that I like this one, I'm really happy with it, I will export it as tom from the calling, and then I know if I want to get back to that sound, it's
you're
really
gonna
easy.
find it. I have the same thing with all my previous drums. I even have kicks. I used some of my kicks like for a long time, for like 4 or 5 tracks, the same kick. Some people even use
same here.
Yeah,
and like this track as well, it's a combination of like a subby and a sort of extra attack.
Yeah,
and
you
funny enough, it's the same. It was a mistake actually. It's so this was the main kick, and I accidentally layered it with the attack from the same kick.
That sounds great.
Which I found out later out, but it sounded good, so I just kept it.
Yeah. Sometimes these are happy accidents, I guess. Yeah. Nice. I never became a big battery fan, but because I have drum rack from Ableton, I worked there for a long time. But battery is super nice. There's some great kits in there. Yeah.
What I like to do is I always, every arrangement, I start with an empty kit, and then I have, so up here I have my own folder with like stuff that I use. I have my library, I have all my sample libraries,
Yeah.
and so I will go and look for sounds and stuff, and once I'm happy with a certain sound, I'll import it. I might export it again to make sure I know where to get it again.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if I do things like hi-hats, so this is all my hi-hats programmed. A lot of this stuff up here actually starts as a hi-hat down in battery. But at some point, I want to, for instance, throw it through one of those pedals,
Yeah.
bounce it back as audio, and then I mute the original MIDI sort of thing. So
Yeah.
all of these, like the close hi-hat and the like toms and stuff, it usually starts in battery.
Yeah, cool.
Like little reverb things and
Le clap. Yeah.
yeah. That's another thing I do a lot. So my claps will always have various variations if you listen through.
Cool. Yeah, so one a bit louder also. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you need to put it louder? Or?
No. I mean that one clap will be louder than the other. Yeah. I have to say, I also make variations, really slight variations in velocity in the clap. It's hard to hear, but it actually does make your track feel way more on the way. Like it's all about movement.
I do it in hi-hats as well. So if I have a hi-hat like this one, maybe let's see if I did it here. No. One of my tricks is if you have a hi-hat like this, what I will do in Cubase is give it a random offset, sort of. So say we'll give it 5 random offset, and you can see it's just like jumping back and forth.
Oh, cool.
And I'll do that throughout 16 bars, so you'll get a very nice sort of variation of just a little tick before or after.
Yeah, that's super cool. We don't have that in Ableton. That's unfair.
Especially if you do this with multiple. So let me, for instance, say this is your hi-hat, like 3 different sounds, and you give it 10 or so clicks. Every time you do this, it's gonna sound slightly different because the one comes for the other.
This is super cool.
Yeah, so this is something I use all the time. My hi-hats are usually layers of multiple hi-hats, and then I'll randomize them like this all the time.
Yeah.
And it just gives your track a little bit more life.
Yeah.
And a lot of my tracks, if you really listen to an open hi-hat, you can hear it sort of going just before or just after the 8th note, And,
you cannot predict it. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's super tiny variations, but it does help to make it sound more interesting.
It's exactly what I did. I did the movement thing when I did the one with D&B Audio 2 weeks ago. I said, movement is so important. If it's all like stuck straight, it's gonna be really boring at some point, And that's the thing, The more it moved, even though you can't really hear it, it's felt through the difference that you create. Yeah.
For sure. And even with melodies, I quickly touched on a lot of my melodies going slightly off key nowadays, but it's the same thing, and I only started to realize that when I started playing guitar, because if you play up on the string, it's never going to be like a perfect E, it's slightly above or slightly below, and I only because of that I started to realize like, hey, I should slightly detune my synths as well. Also because the modular has like its own temper, if you boot it up the one day, it's going to sound slightly different from the other day. And that all adds like life into your sounds and your tracks.
Yeah, the less, so you want to have control, but not full control, so to speak. And it's really interesting. Yeah. All right. So there's a few questions here. So we have one from Rick de P. Are you still using Exhale for your vocals? And by the way, thanks for playing our track Jaap Lichthart and Saleh Kunstkruimels in your radio show.
I remember that one. Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
I'm definitely still using Exhale, although not as much as before, because for this last or this next album, I started working more with different singers, and so every now and then I would prefer to have the singer record some things, and then I start messing with that instead of going to Exhale. But in this track, for instance, I'll show you. There's definitely some Exhale in this.
Exhale is like the output
Yes, it's from the
for
Output guys,
contact.
and
Yeah.
they do some really amazing
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. My roommate bought it. It's insane. They have like such amazing plugins.
Oh yeah, so
Nora
this
Q
is
also
the
uses it.
contact arrangement for this track. So there's 3 exhales. That doesn't mean they're getting used. It's just that I probably used them at some point, and I might
Like,
have
are you still
bounced
using them?
something
No,
out.
no, not so much. And then he opens, and there's 3.
I'm gonna. So this is only this one is actually playing, and this is from exhale.
Awesome.
And it's all the nice thing about exhale, it's all based on vocals, and so it has this sort of melodic vocal quality.
Yeah.
And for instance, if you go further into the track, I sort of
It's
messed
like
with
it
it a
creates the
little bit.
sounds that I used to use. I was looking for. I need some kind of choir, some woman that does, And here is just the perfect plugin for that. Yeah.
So this is at the end of the track where I went through the grain delay of my modular with that same sound. So usually, if I use exhale now, it's sort of I try to find a tone that I like, a vocal or a tone that I like, and then I go to the modular and I go crazy with it.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of my sort of vocal hits get created. So a lot of my tracks will have a sort of like an ah or an o sound somewhere at the start or for fills. And that is usually just like one small vocal snippet, and then I go into the modular and I just mess with it.
Yeah, it's nice to actually. We had the Joker on the show. He also had like a version of one sound, and then later on in the track, he would just change it slightly or have it differently processed, so it just would add again the variation. Oh, it's the same sound, but not. He just wasn't being lazy putting the same sound there. No, he actually went to his modular and put something on it. So you can really, it will add to your track that it's it's really a journey, because in the end, the vocal is different. I think that's what it's all about. Yeah, putting some love in it. Yeah.
No, same. Like I try to create a sort of like a journey with every track, and that means like recording and testing lots of things, and not everything gets used in the end. You record lots of things, and from every 10 things I record, I only end up using one. But you need to try before you know if it's gonna.
And that's the love that goes in it. Otherwise you never know. It's just plain how it is already. And if you don't create more options for yourself, it's gonna be what it is. Yeah.
True.
Nice. So another question we have is, there's Bruno Andranda says the best one. He calls you my mentor. I don't know. Are you mentoring somebody? We have Jose Alberto. Do you do your own mastering as well?
Yes and no. I have some tracks I will, some tracks I won't. The past couple of years, I've done most of it myself. So,
oh wow.
If you look at, I don't know if I can show you my master chain here. Yeah, here we go.
UAD galore.
Yeah, it's. So these are
the Oxford inflator.
The Fairchild and the Harrison are always on here. So this is sort of, if I'm starting an arrangement, all of these will be out, and I'm just mixing into the Fairchild and into the Harrison EQ.
Okay, so you like to mix through some compression then.
Yeah, I love the sound of that Fairchild, and the Harrison is cool because you can do this.
You can DJ with it.
Yeah, so it's an amazing filter, and I just, it's great. I take a little bit of bass out and a bit of high I put up there, and that's sort of my standard standard setup. But then as soon as I start to work on the mastering, in this
mainly
case,
massive passive. Why not for the high end?
Oh, it's on the other screen. There we go. So the Manley, again, an Harrison EQ in this case, and then Oxford inflator.
The inflator.
Isotope ozone.
For the nice for the limiting. Yeah, how cool.
A lot of times, so I'll master it. up to a playable version, so I can test it in the club. And then, you know, if I'm not happy, I'll go back, change a few things. And then when I finally decide to do the final master, I'll turn everything on up to this part. So I take off the inflator and I take off ozone.
Mm-hmm.
Then I bounce like sort of like a pre-master. And then I go into Wavelab and I again have, you know, 10 rows of plugins I might want to use. And sometimes it's in Wavelab, it's just the same thing. So inflator or an ozone.
Yeah.
But at other times I might add like a tape,
Emulation,
tape recorder in there or something else. And
yeah, the inflator is amazing. I used to use it like years ago. Also, I think 10 years ago. Also, I had I didn't have the legitimate ones back then, but the UAD that they emulated it. So like, test it out, and it's just one. You can just take up the curve, right? And it's just,
what I like is that it flattens the peak a little bit. So once you get to the limiter. The limiter only has to take off, you know, maybe dB and a half or 2, but not much more. So some of the tracks where I'm looking at the limiter and it's the final master, it's not almost not doing anything, you know, it's just taking off like tiny bits at the end.
Yeah, so you're not squashing it, it's just keeping it very transparent, and one bit at a time basically is doing something to your dynamics. Yeah. So
personally, if I see the limiter hitting like 4 dB or 5 dB, I go back into the arrangement and I start to change things, you know, because it's too much for me.
Yeah, I think your music needs to have this dynamic range, otherwise it's becoming too squashed, you know, because they say you can have 6, but 6
a lot of music nowadays, if you listen to it, like stuff you buy on Beatport or you get as a promo, and I listen to it and I can hear the distortion in my headphones, you know, when it gets busy with like a kick and a bass line and a crash all at the same time, you can just hear the transients messed up. And it's too bad, you know, it's a shame people want to push it louder and louder all the time.
Yeah, because it's not beneficial. It's louder, but it's also not beneficial for if your break is just as loud as your drop, then something is weird. You know. And what headphones do you have actually? What do you have any? Is AKG? Or?
So this one on my head now is AKG.
Yeah, the classic.
It's 712.
Yeah.
And I use for DJing I use the Sennheisers HD 25. But I don't like to produce music on them because they're quite bass heavy and quite harsh on the head. And I have a pair of Bayer Dynamics, the I think 770.
That's the ones that I have here. Very old school guys. Yeah, but I like to have the 990. I think I'm gonna make
the open one.
Yeah, because this is closed, and now we're already talking for about an hour, and I'm like, ooh, you know, it's cutting you off from the world, and I really like
these are open as well, the AKG ones, and it just makes it so much easier to work on them for longer periods, you know?
Yeah, so I'm gonna make a move to the open ones. Okay, we have to go through some questions because they're now coming in, so let's see if Jose is happy, so you're welcome, Jose.
Thank you.
Johan asks, do you always have this many elements in the track, or is it also a workflow thing, so whatever comes to the table maybe?
This is honestly, for me, is not so many elements. I was actually when I just opened this up, I was surprised how little there was in this track. I usually have, to be really honest, you usually have more elements in the track.
Okay, even more. Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
It maybe because like the one thing you don't see is that these MIDI files are also, or the MIDI tracks are also like 5 or 6 sounds in one. But there will usually be a lot more like small edits and things around. So I guess this is pretty normal.
Yeah. Cool. No, like good to know. So I know I worked with Johan on his tracks. I think he's really going far already, but he was really doubting some things like, don't I need to use more tracks, or maybe less is more? It depends per track.
It's nice maybe to show this one quickly. So in the breakdown of this track, you have this bell. It's Omnisphere sound, by the way. And so if you listen to like these purple ones are all, I use purple for grain delays. And so these are all little delays that sort of add to that original sound. I like it because it makes it in the track with everything going on. It's like very vague in the background, but
Yeah.
with all those little edits below, it just makes for a more interesting sound. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, especially grain delay is one of my. I use it all the time, and for all these like small little edits and things. And
Yeah, it makes it nice and gritty. Yeah, maybe it's a good thing to show your volume mix as well, because you have them right in the background. So I thought maybe let's jump to another question.
Your
volume mix, like somebody wants to see like how your volume mix is. So I guess, I think it's important. I always say it's comparing. You can compare it with like a painting. You know.
Yeah.
If you draw something.
I have one.
Yep.
Wait, I'll go to my mixer quickly. So my track starts with the kick drum. So all of these channels in a new project will already be at like -15 more or less when I open a template. And so if I take just the kick drum, oh, we need to see where we are. Oh yeah, there we go.
Wow, it's like super cool that your faders also become the same color.
Yeah.
I'm switching to Cubase. Sorry, Jan, if you're watching. Shit, I'm going to Cubase now. Oh, this is nice.
Dive in Cubase.
Cubase.
If I start with this kick, I make sure that back down here, it's hitting, anywhere from -16 to maybe -12 maximum or so. And if I do that, I know that everything else will have plenty of headroom to make it louder. And if I take off all the plugins here, so the whole mix is sort of at -3. Maybe in a busy moment it'll get a little bit more. And it's very easy for me also. If it's too much, I just open up the Fairchild and I'll take the output down again a little bit. But I make sure never to go into any plugin in red unless I want to for some reason, otherwise I keep it low.
I think you can do that with the UADs, but not so much with any other ones usually. And is there a benefit of keeping the drums buses separate by the type of sound for head shakers and stuff, or do you would have just everything going to one drum bus? Do you have everything going to one drum bus in the end?
No, I think because if you look at my drum bus here. So you can see most of this, like the clap is not going through, or this clap is not going through the drum bus. There's bound to be a few other sounds as well. So I guess it depends if I group as much of the drums together as I want. And I usually try to group them together with the kick, because with the Neve plugin and the saturation, the most volume is going to come from the kick. So if you don't include that in your drum bus, it's not going to have that gritty sort of effect. But because a lot of time on the Neve, I like to push my highs a little bit. Sometimes if I record something and it sounds good and then I throw it through the Neve, all of a sudden it's going to sound way too harsh. So it just depends for me. I try to have everything go through it, but if I don't like how it sounds, I'll take something out and send it straight to the master.
Nice. That's good to know. So it's I always have kick and bass actually together, and then have the rest of the drums separate. So if I compress my drums, it's not only reacting to the bass or to the kick drum basically. So and also what I used to do is having a drums in series, a compressor in series. So one compressor would be only taking care of the kick, and then the next compressor would be having sort of like a low cut or high pass, so that it would only respond to frequencies above 400, so it would be more for clap and the rest basically, which is really cool, like compressing it in series.
It's one of the things, by the way, I use the least compression. So I have that Fairchild on my master bus. But you'll have a hard time finding a compressor somewhere in the arrangement on a single track or so. I don't know. It's like I only compress things together to get maybe like a little bit of a pumping sound,
Yeah.
or something like a clap here might get compressed because I want the tail to be much louder or something, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm not much of a
Compressor.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Me neither, because you spend so much time making nice velocities and then hammering it gone with the compressor makes no sense. So
Exactly.
I actually
Yeah.
teach my students not to compress too much, but just little bits with like 1 dB or 2 dB of gain reduction, you know.
Yeah.
If you want to go heavy on it, it's nice, but you should consider that you're losing a lot of stuff that you made before, because sometimes when people start compressing, they lose their whole track, the whole essence of their track. So
If you look at my Fairchild, oh, so low. So it's like, so one is there, so it's not even doing half a dB, you know.
Yeah, I think it's all in the details, just a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so let's do the last questions. I have 3 more, and then we are calling it a day.
Sounds good.
So how do you know when your track is ready, Rodrigo Nardelli? What a nice name.
That's a good question. You for me, it's a process. It's a very long process. I built my tracks over a period of time. So I'll start with an ID, then I will work on something else, and then 2-3 weeks later, if I still like the ID, I will continue work on it, and this will go on for usually a couple of months. Sometimes up to 6 months or even longer. And at some point, I'll have a version which is playable, and I start playing the track. But even if the feedback is amazing, I know it's good. But there have been occasions where I had a fully finished track, and I was just not getting the feedback that I wanted from the crowd. And I just went back into the studio, and I just kept the first minute and the last minute, and everything else went out, and I started over. And for me, it's just the best way to tell if a track is ready for me is time. I need lots of time, and only after months of listening and going back to it and listening again, I know, like, okay, this is the way I want it. This is finished. And, and I know people that finish, they start something on Monday and they finish it on Friday, but I've never, like, maybe 1 or 2 tracks in my whole career like that. Everything else was done over months of time, probably.
Yeah. Wow, that's that's also, of course, a lot. If you I actually work pretty fast, so I never have that thing. Actually, I need to finish it in a few days, otherwise I get crazy. But then again,
like the Hierophant was one of those tracks that I finished and I played it last year at Tomorrowland.
Yeah,
and I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah,
and I ended up taking out everything, like the whole middle section went out, and I completely redid it. And that's when it finally became the tune I wanted it to be. So
it's also, I think it's do you put more love in it? I need to change maybe my belief system, that I need to have it in a week, because I know that Jaron and Anders, my roommate, they work for a long time on tracks, and it gets better at some point. But did you also have sometimes that you lost the track, that you went like,
you have to be at some point you have to say, okay, this is done now, because you can go really crazy with continuing work on tracks, and it can become too much. But usually, like after half a year, if I still like it, I'm pretty sure it's good. Good enough to release.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nice. Good to know. Darko show us your kick bass compression. We went over it. You have to go back in time. You can watch back the you can play just bass. We did that. We played the bass solo.
I can do it quickly. It's
then you have to reshare your screen, because I unshared your screen.
Oh, did you? Where is my Zoom? Where is Zoom?
So, Darko gets a special treatment. That's super nice. I thought he can just watch back. By the way, if people want to watch back this session, it's going to be available on youtube.com/lessonsinlive. Also, you can find back all the other episodes that I did with other artists, and all the future ones that I'm going to do, because I'm going to keep this up weekly, because it's so much fun. Look at how much fun we have. We learned Cubase today.
Here you go. So this is the bass line.
Super nice. You want to do an extra? There you go.
So this is the sidechain by LFO tool.
Yeah, it's a great tool.
And it's just cool because you can go like.
Yeah, now it's totally crazy. Yeah. So you're actually just controlling the volume, right?
Yeah, you're just controlling the volume, and I use that for what is also like I didn't show. Maybe I can show that very quickly. It's really nice. So if you have a hi-hat like this one, for instance, and you put an LFO tool on it, this is one of the things I use a lot, although for some reason not in this track. So if I automate this volume, this is amazing for. I put it to 8 notes here, and so in this case you do want to sync it to the tempo. It's amazing for making them shorter, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a good decay tool.
Yeah, it's not
doing what you want at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, my mouse is giving me headaches lately. Here we go.
Yeah, nice. You can also automate.
I use this a lot, and I use it for very quick loops as well. Like if you have a percussion loop or something which has too much reverb on it, or a hi-hat loop with too much of a like a shaker with too much tail or something.
Yeah.
You can just do it like this very quickly and make it much more tight and fit your track, you know. Yeah. So LFO tool is like a very really nice multi-tool for all of that.
Yeah, X-Fair Records. Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's stop the sharing. Boom. Eelke, you are a star. Yeah, thank you for being on the show and showing your music. Super nice.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, and so the album is coming. You are
September 25th.
Yeah, and yeah, for now we can't see you play at the moment. Or are there is there anything coming?
Well, it's tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Amsterdam time. The 2-hour stream from the Euromast here in Rotterdam.
Yeah, nice.
And so that's 9 p.m. in Amsterdam, 4 p.m. in Argentina. It will be really good, and it's once it's online as well, you can watch it back as well. So it'll be on there for a while.
Yeah, great. So people can watch it back, and the Euromast is just the Dutch Eiffel Tower, so to speak.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, nice. So people go watch it. The album drops end of September, and thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and producer tips and tricks, and I hope you make a lot more albums during this time. Maybe you finish one more, but now you're going to take a month off, right, of making music. Having some time off for other stuff like updating YouTube and that sort of stuff. Yes, it all has to be done, of course, you know.
True. Yeah. And like after working on music for 5 months straight, you need to clear your head a little bit and do something else. Yeah, it's very enjoy important. A little bit of a holiday as well. Yeah, and the family maybe also. It's exactly. Also very important. Yeah, cool, man. So then, thank you for being part of Dive in Live. People are already saying it was a nice dive again. Thanks, guys. Thanks for doing this. So it's been well appreciated. Thanks for the invitation. Anytime. We maybe need to do this with the next album. We'll just ask you to come again. Sure. Really always, nice. Yeah. All right. So then, have a great night. And we'll speak soon. Yeah, cheers. Thanks for watching, everyone. Okie dokie. Bye. So, this was Eelke. Really nice that he came in the show and shared his stuff, and that you all had questions. Check out youtube.com/lessons in life. Every episode that I do is there. Make sure to check out Eelke Klein's his new album. He's a star for sharing it with us. His stream is launching tomorrow, and I'll be back next week with Roland, a producer from the UK who makes nice tracks. He's on labels like Fuse in London, so it's a more minimalist producer, but also a big UAD fan. So I'm wondering which ones he really likes. So let's see what that all brings. We got Britta Arnold coming soon. Who do we have more? Navar will come as well if you're like the progressive sounds. So make sure to hang around here every Wednesday evening.
It's 8 p.m. CEST time, and follow Lessons in Life on YouTube. Feel free to click subscribe. I'm there every week. I have a few tutorials. I need to make more, but I'm doing these streams and doing my classes. I also do courses every week, beginners and advanced courses online. So if you know anybody or you want to learn how to make music yourself, I've got beginners and advanced courses starting next week. Actually, I've got a few spots available on both of them. There's maximum 8 people per class, so make sure to be quick if you want. And otherwise, I have new ones starting in October. So don't no rush. Thanks for being on the show, Mark. Thank you, Juliana. You're welcome. And I'll be back next week. Thank you for joining in, and have a great night or day wherever you are. Ciao.